I have historically been a pretty impulsive thrifter, and what I mean by that is that I like to go into a store or scroll on a secondhand app on my phone and find things that I didn't know that I was after. Like, I don't tend to have a plan when I go thrifting or when I'm scrolling on the app. And there can definitely be downsides to this. For example, overconsumption, adding things to your wardrobe that you don't end up liking or wearing or using, or that goes with other things in your wardrobe and your style. But I generally feel like I have a pretty good idea of what my style is, and thus I bring in a lot of pieces that work with my style. However, my style is also multifaceted. I have this bright yellow button down and like a turquoise t-shirt, and I have more like cottagecore stuff or more like eclectic grandpa if we're gonna go with like named aesthetics. So there is a variety to my style. There is some breadth, some width to my style, meaning that not everything I introduce will work with everything in my wardrobe, but it's rare for me to bring in a piece that doesn't end up working with anything in my wardrobe. And since this is how I tend to thrift, this is also how I've acquired some pieces, many pieces, that I really like. I mean, at least like 90% of my wardrobe has been introduced into my wardrobe from this thrifting impulsivity, and I have pieces that I'm really happy with, so I don't mind that I've been impulsive, and I probably will keep being impulsive. But I want to explore this a little bit today because I have a few different thoughts pulling me in a couple different directions. Firstly, I already touched on the fact that if you introduce pieces into your wardrobe that goes with your wardrobe, that works with other pieces, not necessarily everything, but at least goes with other pieces in your wardrobe, I don't think there is a harm in this impulsivity, at least if you can financially support it, because there is of course also that side to things. But I think introducing a piece that you are excited about that works with your style, and hopefully knowing that before you introduce it, there's no harm in that. You can still of course overconsume. I definitely have more clothes than I need to have, but I also like the variety that I have in my wardrobe. And like I said, a lot of pieces, the majority of pieces in my wardrobe have been introduced through this impulsivity mindset and has led to being pieces that I really enjoy. But on the flip side of that, if you or I introduce something into our wardrobe from thrifting, from secondhanding, that doesn't end up working out, I don't think that's the end of the world, because the item is still kept in the fashion loop. Hopefully once we realize that it doesn't work for us, we're now sharing a wardrobe. I hope we like the same things. When we realize, if we realize that the piece doesn't work for us, we hopefully keep it in the loop by redonating it or selling it or passing it on to someone in our lives, and that keeps the item still in circulation, and we were able to take this leap of faith to try this piece out that we weren't perhaps sure about, or that for some reason didn't end up working out, and keep it in the loop, but also try it out, because sometimes we don't know what we like, or we don't know how something's going to fit into the rest of our wardrobe and the rest of our lives. But I don't think there's a harm in that if we keep the loop going. But there can of course be negatives to this as well, as with most things in life. There can be negatives to this in this sort of FOMO of it all, at least for me. I rarely feel this in the same way in a physical store as I do on an app, say Vinted. But on Vinted, for example, it's so easy for someone to figuratively snatch the item out of your hands as you are looking at it and trying to decide. That has rarely, or I will say never, happened to me in a physical store. No one has ever snatched anything out of my actual hands and gotten that item. There have been things I've seen on a rack over there and I'm heading towards it being curious about it, and then someone gets to it first. That hurts a little bit. If it's something that's really cool and looks really good and that I really like the look of. And while in a physical store you have a little bit of time to decide about the pieces before they close or before you pay and leave, but on Vinted you can be looking at a piece live right now and then it's gone. And the fear of that happening, or the worry that that's going to happen, I think that really spurs on the impulsivity and the sort of like, I need to get this now or someone else going to get it. And I definitely do have things in my favorites that have been in my favorites for months that no one has bought. And then there are other pieces that have come up on my recommended or whatever you're fed when you open Vinted. And I've been like, oh, I really like, and it's gone. Because I haven't had the time, I haven't been able to properly look at it. And to me, that is a really big downside of the thrifting apps or thrifting online, which I have done a fair bit in recent years, that I can be so close to getting an item and then it just disappears in front of my eyes. And I may have started having thoughts of like how this item is going to work in my wardrobe and what I'm going to wear it with and how I'm going to style it, and it would be so good when I do this thing, or when it's really warm in summer, or when fall rolls around. Like, I have plans already for this item before it is mine. And I can have those same thoughts when I'm in a physical store, but again, again, then I can hold on to the item until I decide whether or not I want to introduce it into my wardrobe. But I want to turn this conversation around a little bit, and I want to talk about a positive when it comes to online thrifting, and a thing that I've been doing a surprising amount recently for being me. Because I said that I tend to be quite impulsive when it comes to my thrifting and not really having a plan. And yes, for this year and last year, I've had thrift wish lists of items I wanted to find and introduce into my wardrobe, but they have been like, oh, if I find these pieces, not necessarily an active searching for these pieces. Like, I'll go into a thrift store and I'll look for a linen pair of trousers, but if I don't find them, I will look for other things as well. I'm not just going to go in and look for these things and then leave, which would perhaps be better for my wallet and the amount of items in my wardrobe. But even so, it's a thrift wish list. It's not necessarily a thrift hunting down list, if that makes sense. However, something might be changing for me when it comes to that. Over the recent years, there have been 3 specific dresses that I have managed to hunt down. And when I say specific dresses, there are actually specific dresses, and not like, oh, I want a mint green dress, or I want a midi dress with spaghetti straps. No, there have been 3 specific dresses that I, thanks to online thrifting, have been able to hunt down. The first one is this one, which is no longer in my wardrobe, but I had this dress a number of years ago, and I outgrew the size I had it in, but I really liked the dress. And so I spent some time on and off for a while, a few months perhaps, trying to find this dress in a bigger size. Back then I didn't use Vinted, I don't think Vinted existed back then, but I found it on a Swedish online secondhand website and I got it for a really good price, and I was really glad to have that item back in my wardrobe. It was a new copy, it was a new duplicate of the same item, just in a size that fit me, and I was really, really happy with that. Since then I have outgrown that dress as well, but we're not talking about that. Secondly, we have this dress. And this is from H&M. Funnily enough, all 3 of these dresses are originally from H&M. Also, if you hear a cat, that's a cat. He's very sad right now. Yes, Remus. This dress I saw years ago. I want to say around the same time that I looked for that pink and black dress. And I didn't find this in my size, or I found it, but it felt too expensive. I didn't want to spend that much. Again, looking secondhand. And then recently it just reappeared on my Vinted. It's been a couple of years and it just reappeared on my Vinted, and I had stopped searching for this dress. I had moved on. I was thinking that it wasn't gonna happen. I had kind of forgotten about the dress, I will admit, but then it reappeared in my feed and I was like, oh, this dress that I was looking for before. I still really like the look of this dress. I still really want this dress. And so I got it, and I've worn it this summer and I've been really happy with it. And I have several ideas for how to style it for different seasons as well. I'm very excited to have this piece in my wardrobe, and it was such a fun experience to find the dress. Even though I'd stopped searching for it, once I found it again, my excitement and my styling thoughts and my just general excitement about this dress was just reignited, and I was so excited about it, and I still really am. And thirdly, we have this dress. This is the most recent addition to my wardrobe. I was secondhanding with a friend of mine in Stockholm back in the middle of July, and I found, not this dress, but I found this dress in a size up in a thrift store. I'd never seen this dress before. It's also originally from H&M. I have no idea when it was released. And I tried it on in the larger size that I found in the store, and it was just too big. It did not work. It did not fit. And I since then have looked for it in a smaller size, and I found it on Vinted. 2 different sellers selling it in the size I wanted. However, they both wanted a fair bit of money, and both those sellers were in a different country, so the shipping would be quite high. And I just persevered. I just waited a bit, and then I did an image search a bit later on Vinted, and through scrolling, which a lot of it was just not related to the image search, a lot of them were not the correct item, I found this dress for a much cheaper price than the other people were asking, and I am now really excited to be introducing it into my wardrobe. Caveat is that I've ordered it today. I don't have it today when I'm filming this video, but I have asked for measurements. It should really be working out. The size up that I tried on in a thrift store was significantly big on me, so I'm hoping that this will be the good fit, the right fit. But even so, I am really excited to introduce it into my wardrobe, and I really hope it's going to be working for me, for my style, for my wardrobe, for a long time to come. And I will say that it is rare for me to get this hung up on a specific piece. Again, I have had and I do have a thrift wish list, but those items aren't pieces I have to find for my wardrobe to work or for me to like my clothes. However, the phenomenon of hunting down the item, like a copy, a duplicate, the same but in a different size item, is also not new, because I have done it back in, I mean, the pink and black dress was 2023, if not 2022. So it's not a brand new phenomenon to me. Also, my second most recent item, like not the most recent, but the one right before that, is this button down, which I also physically don't have in my wardrobe today when I'm filming this, because the seller took a long time to ship that item. But even so, I saw this button down, or its friend, I saw this button down on Vinted, and that got snatched out from my hands like that. It just went. I didn't have time to think about it, it was just gone. But I really enjoyed the color of it. The cut looks really nice, and it's 100% linen. And I am no stranger to linen. I've had linen pieces before, but this summer I feel has just been a real big boom of linen in my wardrobe. This summer has also been really warm. We've had some really warm temperature spikes, and so I've really benefited from having linen in my wardrobe because it's a very good warm weather fabric. But either way, that purple button down got snatched out of my hands, figuratively, on Vinted. But every few days since then, I have input the search criteria for what that one was, and eventually I did find this one, and I got it for a good deal. And I'm very excited to be introducing it into my wardrobe, even though we are now leaving summer. I mean, it's August 5th when I'm filming this, so theoretically there is still summer left, but the temperatures have definitely been dropping compared to earlier in the summer, and we might have another spike of warm weather. Maybe we don't, but just because linen is a good fabric for summer doesn't mean it's a bad fabric for not summer. So to try to wrap this up somehow, because I feel like I've been talking about two different topics, haven't I? One of them being impulsivity and how things can get snatched out of your hands on Vinted, and how it's easier to buy things in store because then you can physically carry them and decide how impulsive you want to be. And the other topic being that I've hunted down specific pieces thanks to online thrifting. I think that I have room for both impulsivity and more planned out, hunted down pieces in my wardrobe. And since I don't physically have the purple button down or the mint dress in my wardrobe as of me filming this, there is of course a risk that those pieces aren't going to be working out. Even though I've purposely hunted them down, I don't actually know how they're going to work in my wardrobe. Hopefully well. I have plans for both of them. I have styling ideas, I have thoughts. Hopefully they're going to work out really well, but if they don't, that would also be okay. It would be disappointing because I put quite a lot of time into trying to find them, but if it doesn't work out, I do intend to keep them in the loop. Like I said before, reselling them or redonating them or handing them off to a friend or something is what I plan to do if they don't work out. Hopefully they will be working out. One final thought though that I want to share on this, which I'm just gonna shoehorn in here because I want to talk about it in this video because I feel like it's related, but I don't really know how to segue into it. And that thought has to do with the impulsivity, because I think that there are actually positives to impulsivity. I mentioned that in the beginning, but I do think that sometimes introducing a new piece into your wardrobe, in this example on a whim, finding a piece that you really like that you weren't searching for, but oh look, this yellow button down, I really like it, kind of thing. Introducing that into your wardrobe, I think, can really help sort of reactivate pieces in your wardrobe that you really like or really love, but that have fallen a bit to the wayside. I definitely think that when I introduce a piece into my wardrobe for the first time, that is when I am the most excited about that piece. There are pieces that definitely stay high up in the ranking for a long time to come. Years, decades hopefully, but I don't have any pieces I've had for a decade because my size has changed. But even so, I definitely do think there are pieces that can stand the test of time of being a constant favorite. Then there are other pieces that can sort of fall to the wayside. You don't necessarily forget about them, but you stop wearing them as much because you have worn them so much that you're tired of them, or other pieces have come in and sort of taken their place, either as you go through different seasons of your life or of the actual year, but also that you perhaps have introduced new pieces and you're more excited about those. And in certain situations, which I can't pinpoint exactly when and where and here's a chart, but I do think in certain situations introducing a new piece into your wardrobe can reignite how you felt for another piece earlier. And what I mean by that is like unlocking styling potential. So me introducing this yellow button down into my wardrobe, for example, might reignite my love for another piece. Either a piece to pair this with, a pair of trousers I'd forgotten about, or a t-shirt I never wear, or something like that because it works with the silhouette or the color or something else. But it could also reignite my love for a piece of the same kind. This yellow button down could reignite my feelings, my positive feelings, for a pink button down or a blue button down, reminding me of those pieces and reminding me how much I liked wearing them earlier and how I could style them in this kind of outfit or that kind of outfit. And even though this button down then probably wouldn't be in the outfit with the blue button down, for example, because I don't tend to do 2 button downs, this entering into my wardrobe still helped me style pieces in my wardrobe. It helped me remember how much I liked another piece, and hopefully also this entering into my wardrobe obviously also means that this gets styled. Clearly that is something I want. But I think there can be a beauty in that, or a creative side to that. Introducing a new item into your wardrobe is generally fun as it is, but it can also shuffle your wardrobe around a bit, shake it up a little bit, and help you see new and old pairings that you perhaps hadn't thought of. But that is all I have for this video, and I feel like it was a little bit all over the place, so I would love to hear your thoughts on if this made sense or not, if you relate to any of the things that I've talked about in this video. Whether or not that is hunting down a specific piece for weeks or months or years, or feeling that impulsivity in your thrift shopping can be a good thing or a bad thing, that is also allowed to have that opinion. Or if you think that introducing a new piece can really help unlock other older pieces in your wardrobe and bring them to the forefront of your mind and your wardrobe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with another video soon, so I hope to see you then. Bye!